Imagine this. You're declared dead, perhaps from an incurable illness. But instead of burial or cremation, your body is cooled, and your blood is replaced with a special cryoprotective solution. Slowly, you are brought to extremely low temperatures, so low that biological activity stops completely. You're no longer seen as a corpse, but as a patient in long-term suspension. Years, decades, or even centuries pass. Science advances. One day, doctors of the future retrieve your body, repair damaged tissues with nanobots, and restart your brain and heart. You wake up in a completely different world. People speak a new language, aging has been conquered, and death is no longer inevitable but a technical issue waiting to be solved. This is the hope offered by Cryonics, even if the chances are slim. Today, there are companies that provide this service. Thousands have already signed up, scientists, entrepreneurs, and individuals with a deep belief in the potential of future technologies. Yet, many see cryonics as naive or even exploitative, capitalizing on our fear of death. Critics point to the lack of proven techniques for revival and the enormous technical obstacles involved. No one has ever been revived after cryopreservation. Not even an attempt. Scientists still have no real idea how to repair cells after such extreme freezing, let alone reanimate an entire person. Skepticism is warranted. But throughout history, things once thought impossible, like organ transplants, IVF, or space travel, have become reality. So, is cryonics a false hope or a bold step toward the future? Cryonics emerged in the 1960s, during the height of the space race. It was an era when science fiction felt closer to fact than ever before. Heart transplants were becoming reality, and diseases once considered fatal were being treated. In this atmosphere of rapid progress, physicist Robert Ettinger published the prospect of immortality. He proposed that future science could potentially defeat death, and that our challenge now is to preserve the body long enough to reach that future. Ettinger's ideas gained traction among thinkers and entrepreneurs, though the mainstream scientific community largely dismissed them. Still, a small group of enthusiasts began experimenting. Early efforts faced serious limitations. Without proper methods, tissues were damaged by ice crystals. Brains were especially vulnerable. Maintaining ultra-low temperatures over decades also required expensive equipment and stable funding. Some companies collapsed. In worst cases, bodies thawed and decomposed. One early cryonics advocate, Robert Nelson, lacked scientific training but ran a preservation company. His poorly executed methods led to scandal and lawsuits after bodies he was responsible for were left to decay. It damaged the field's reputation. Yet, it was during this chaotic period that James Bedford, in 1967, became the first human to be cryopreserved. Despite technical issues, his body remains preserved to this day. The most well-known organization in cryonics today is Alcor, founded in 1972. Based in Arizona, Alcor has preserved over 200 individuals, along with many pets. It is structured as a non-profit and has created a financial system to fund indefinite preservation through investment of clients' payments. Preservation isn't limited to the wealthy. Most clients pay through life insurance, which covers the cryopreservation cost upon death. By starting young, monthly payments remain affordable. Another US-based organization, the Cryonics Institute, offers more budget-friendly options. Cryonics also exists in Russia. The first company, Cryo-Rus, was founded in 2005. It offers services at lower costs, but its history includes multiple relocations and legal disputes. For example, family members can override a deceased person's contract in Russia, leading to conflict. Despite financial challenges, Cryo-Rus continues to operate and has preserved over 90 people and many animals. Cryonics remains controversial. Some fear that cryopreserved bodies are unethical or even spiritually dangerous. Others compare the practice to visiting a grave. Relatives are even allowed to view the preserved body in some facilities. Though unsettling to some, supporters argue this is a rational extension of grieving and remembrance. The actual process of cryopreservation is complex. After legal death is declared, a response team stabilizes the body to prevent tissue decay. The body is connected to machines that maintain blood circulation and oxygenation. A cryoprotective agent replaces blood to prevent ice formation. The body is then cooled gradually over days before being vitrified, meaning the fluids solidify into a glass-like state without forming crystals. Bodies are stored upside down in tanks of liquid nitrogen. If something goes wrong, such as a leak, the head, which is most important for identity, will remain frozen the longest. In theory, these bodies could be preserved for centuries, if protected from war, disaster, or political opposition. Still, revival remains the biggest challenge. Current technology can't reverse the damage from cryopreservation. Cryoprotectants are toxic, and delicate brain structures might shatter from vibrations. Reanimating a human also means restoring hormonal systems and memory. Even if possible, questions remain. How would someone from the 21st century adjust to a world 500 years in the future? What rights would they have? Would their identity, intellectual property, or citizenship still be recognized? Critics argue that cryonics is pseudoscience, offering false hope. But even a small chance of success is mathematically greater than none. Historical examples show that today's impossibilities can become tomorrow's normal. A century ago, airplanes, organ transplants, and the internet were considered fantasy. We now modify genes, print human organs, and carry devices with access to all human knowledge. The definition of death itself has evolved, from when breathing stops, to when the heart stops, to now considering brain death. Defibrillators, ventilators, and CPR can bring back people once considered gone. Perhaps future medicine will restore what we now consider final. Cryonics, in that sense, is emergency transport to the future. It carries a patient not to a nearby hospital, but to future doctors with tools we have yet to invent. It gives hope, a scientifically speculative, yet logically consistent hope. And while cryonics is not a religion, it shares one of religion's core functions, offering hope beyond death. But instead of promises of an afterlife, cryonics offers a tiny chance at future life, backed not by faith, but by science. Signing up for cryonics isn't about certainty. It's a gamble, an experiment, a futuristic adventure. Most who consider it are skeptics and atheists, people who believe death is final, but are open to giving science one last shot at a second chance. Because even if the chance is 1 in a million, it's still more than 0.